So if anybody's listening to this video and wondering like, oh, this kid's gonna burn when he gets down south, or oh, I'm confused now, or ooh, I wouldn't do that. Keep in mind, my body is a fucked up body. I do not feel things the way other people feel them, like temperature, like cold. I'm very sensitive to. Meanwhile, heat, I'm not at all. You got all these other nervous system issues from light, sound, all these outside. Like, for instance, outside stimulus that is coming in, usually I got is fine, depending on certain conditions like cold, noise, touch. When those come in, they can be sometimes problematic. I have to be careful. But most outside information or stimulus I can be a little careful with. But this is where it gets tricky. When you ask me to output stimulus, so you want me to walk, talk, move, jump, do a backflip, crawl, and there's been a lot of people asking me to crawl lately, especially my doctor. They ask me to crawl around town like a baby, like it's something they enjoy. I don't understand why they want me to crawl when there's medical devices to help me, or squat, or fall. I don't understand that. And then they play games. I even had, when I called the ambulance on my roommate and he couldn't talk properly, they didn't even want to hear what was wrong with him. They literally turned their back to the person trying to help. They played a bunch of games with him. Meanwhile, he couldn't make any words up. And I told them ahead of time before I let them in my house that he can't speak. So they play games like this all the time. Meanwhile, I'm trying my best to stand up as long as I can and help as much as I can and do my religious duty. But these guys don't want to help. They don't want to help. They'd rather spend and waste time talking to a guy who can't speak. Meanwhile, I'm trying my best to speak, and I can, and I'm giving them information, but then they turn their back to me, and then they waste their time. Then they eventually turn around and go, oh, he can't speak? He can't move? You were just told that. Stop acting stupid. Yes, this is an emergency. He gets affected by the mold and he needs you to take him out of here. If you have any questions about what's going on, direct them to me. And then when I'm hurt and can't speak, I guess there's nobody for me to direct you to. So I'll just be fucked. When something happens to me, there is nobody to do stuff for me. But when something happens to him, I expect you guys to listen during an emergency. But instead, no, they play games. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about this stuff. I am not treated normal. I don't have a normal body. I've been made crippled and disabled, and yet nobody wants to do anything about it because they rather profit off of me. And there is. There's been lots of people. Even Uncle Sam has profited off of me. I've never collected a dime of Social Security in my life, even though a wealthy, well-off individual did collect Social Security in my name. Meanwhile, I'm still in these orphanages that I grew up in. So it's not like I got a different life. I mean, I got like a year break or weekends here or in the mountains instead in the New Mexico. But that was actually worse than an orphanage. No education, no oversight, nothing. So they've taken me out of an orphanage and taken my education. And there's been so many things taken from me. So when I say I want to move to South Carolina and the heat won't bother me, it really won't. I've been to Florida. I've spent summers in 102 degrees in Texas. I've spent summer in heat waves in Massachusetts where they said 112 and I loved it. I mean, the humidity made it hard to breathe. And obviously the heat is still bad, but I had to keep hydrated. But there's pools. Eventually you can maybe try to do an air conditioner. And don't forget, there's always nighttime. But also forget, 9 months a year, I'm shaking in pain. So I'm wishing for this heat too. So I really can't complain when it gets 112 when I'm spending 9 months a year wishing the cold would go away. Oh, it's so cold tonight. I'm in so much pain. I can't sleep. I can't just get this shit. I hate this cold. Oh, you think you hate the cold? No, I really have a problem with the cold. See me shaking over here? It's not that cold in here. It is for me. It's not that cold in here. Turn down the heat, Zach. But then I won't sleep. I don't care. I get this year round. Whole life. Doesn't matter if I fall, get scarred up. Doesn't matter. For 25, I never got a start. While everybody else was trying to learn their ABCs, I was trying to learn why I'm drooling and seizing and shaking and can't move my legs, arms properly, and why my speech suddenly changed and why I'm having to learn how to speak when I was able, I was just doing better, and then I had a like a step backwards, and then I had to learn again. It's like I'm learning how to walk, but then I'm losing it, and I'm losing feeling though. It's not walking because it's in my arm, and when I suck on my arm or bite my arm, that's different too, but I don't have to move my arm. Huh, what the hell's going on? So while other children are learning their ABCs, one, two, three, I'm relearning my body. And then while I'm trying to relearn my body, then I have Epicac extra medicine being given to me. I got medications being dropped to me. And then we move climates as well, all the way across the country. And then I'm put into this cabin up in New Mexico with no oversight, no school. I'm wandering around the woods. And honestly, it was a fun time in the woods. It was only when I was getting abused inside or when I was getting food poisoning because the staff member didn't want to admit the freezer broke the night before and everything had to be replaced and it was a weekend. Or maybe it wasn't the night before. The freezer was broken, the milk went solid, the meat went rotten, and the eggs were no good. So they made us scrambled eggs, hamburgers, and chunky milk that was sour. And I got into the bed puking for a week. Woke up the next day actually puking and then had to stay in there all week. Couldn't walk, couldn't stop puking. Trash can had to be replaced. I don't know how many times. And that wasn't the only food poisoning. That wasn't the only person poisoning me. But this is what can be allowed to happen to orphans like me. I was allowed to have this happen. Nobody had a problem with it. Nobody ever had a problem with any of this stuff I brought up. Illegal gun in the house? No problem. Oh, Zach is complaining of getting poisoned? No problem. Zach says that he was given a handful of meds and had a wicked bad reaction and the mother's admitting to it? No problem. They're moving Zach halfway across the country? No problem. They put Zach in a program and awarded them money? No problem. They moved him all the way across the country again after they just moved him to Texas once? No problem. They want to move him again? No problem. Okay, we want to pick a different house and a different house in a different place? No problem. The school hasn't given him an education for a year, and he just told his father that he's playing toys all day for an entire year? No problem. His mother is drinking and blaming it on him. Meanwhile, his kid's starting to show signs of addiction. He's showing signs that he's in pain, that he's showing signs that his stomach is having serious issues. He's being brought to the ER for extreme migraines, and these headaches continue. He's on multiple medications, but yet these medications seem to be causing more side effects, and it doesn't seem to be improving any of his condition. No problem. His mother is now sick, liver failing, comes home from the hospital, decides to drink, gets sent back, passes away, and the son isn't allowed to even see her mother during this? No problem. The son ends up finding illegal drugs in a closet. Well, actually, nobody knew. My father's new wife, after my mother passed away, it wasn't long after, where he started dating and marrying my mother's sister, best friend's sister, whatever you want to call her. It's really confusing when I go over it because they purposely confuse the shit out of me in so many ways. But we're going to skip past that one. So, no problem. Let me see. Then somebody brings illegal drugs into the house. They don't want to pay any attention to the real issues at hand. Then they treat me like shit. I go in there, find them, and decide, I'm going to be a stupid asshole and get high off these things. Seeing as somebody just brought illegal drugs into a house while they're fucking me over left and right, stealing my things, literally wiping out my money supply. They haven't even cared enough to get me to drive yet. I literally want nothing more than to drive, yet these assholes don't even want to help me. They don't want to give me lessons. They don't want to pay for me to get better. They don't want to make me look better. They see me shaking. They see my body. I can't hold things. I'm dropping shit all the time. I got the heater on blast. I got blankets on me. We're going to the doctors for 25 years. My mother was acting crazy for 25 years, but my father wants to pretend like all that never happened. I have a new wife now. Let's let my son just pay the price. So I go, okay, where's my mother's shit? So I go looking for my mother's jewelry or something. And don't forget, oh, I almost forgot to mention, my father also tried to hide my inheritance and he stole my inheritance, according to the attorney that spoke with me. I got a phone call from an attorney that told me I needed to speak to my father because I had an inheritance and my father was about to take it. So I spoke to my father. My father lied. I never got an inheritance from my mother, but there was one. My father just made sure I didn't get it. So, anyways, I know about this, so I go in there looking around. I find illegal drugs. Not only my mother's, my new my second stepmother thingy, whatever, my father's third wife, second that I've known. I find that she brought in a bunch of illegal drugs that don't have her name on it. The only thing you can do with them is get high, take them, or sell them or throw them away, but then she wouldn't be stashing them and bringing them into our house. So at this point, and I doubt she told my father she was bringing illegal drugs like that. I bet she would come up with a story like they're my meds, or, oh, they're fine. Well, if I did that, if I brought my medication from a dead girlfriend into that house, I would be arrested in a heartbeat. So I know she's not going to admit to a word of this, and I'm just going to take a couple. Because I already know benzos will help, opiates will help me, and she happens to have both. But that was the stupidest shit I ever did, because apparently these were super strong. I took one benzo, one opiate, and then I felt wicked bad because somebody, my mother's best friend, who's now in a relationship with my father, only week or so, or a couple weeks, or a few weeks after she passed away, like 3, 4, I would say about a month after she passed away, they were already hitting it off. But she gave me money, and I could go out and get marijuana. And then I thought to myself, this marijuana is actually one of the ones that seems to get my shaking to stop. And it's one of the good ones versus the other marijuana I got last month, what made me shake like hell. And I didn't seem to be able to get out of my bed. And that's a problem. I need to stop smoking marijuana. I even wrote myself a note and deleted all my marijuana contacts one time because I had a shake reaction. Now I know it's from too much of one thing in the marijuana. But anyways, so I felt a little bad. I'm like, oh, I just took her illegal drugs. And she just tried to do something nice for me. No, they are illegal drugs. At this point, I go upstairs. But now something kicks in and I can't walk. I can't move. The problem is that the weed, the opiate, and the benzos were too strong and my nervous system got wicked better, but then it completely shut down. Apparently it was overload and I took way too much medications. Now I know as an adult it was because I was taking so many antipsychotics and dangerous medications at the same time. Because I can take those medications without having that reaction. But if I take antipsychotics like Seroquel, Thorazine, Trazodone, and then I take a Xanax, a Percocet, I will be fucked. But if I just take an Ativan, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. But if you give me Thorazine and Seroquel, I'm fucked up for the whole morning. You give me Seroquel and Thorazine at bedtime, I'm screwed up at bedtime, through the night, through the morning, until about lunchtime. And this is an ongoing case. And that's just some of them. Oh my God, you give me Zyprexa and I can't even move my body. And I had no clue that this was going on. I had no clue what my mother was drugging and giving me meds I didn't need. I had no clue what she did at age 7 was an overdose and not an allergy attack, and everybody should have known that because it was quite obvious. Um, I didn't know that extra Epicac, 7 ounces of pure Epicac, was actually abuse. I thought that was normal. The way my father and mother acted about it seemed normal. Like washing their tongue out with soap, right? You can take a full bottle of Epicac, pour it in a cup, and not mix it with any water, and then pour it in your kid's mouth, right? We're not talking about measuring it out and giving it properly. We're talking about giving it and then bragging about it. I gave it as a punishment. I wanted him to suffer more so he wouldn't say something like that again. Those were her exact words. So it wasn't like all these things she was lying about. She did eventually. After she started realizing that she was fucked up, she started lying and manipulating and taking evasive action, calling me a liar, just like she did in the beginning with the metal. But there was a couple times where I was able to get her to tell the truth about it. Where I just said, "You're going to lie to me this time. Let me guess. You're going to lie to everybody here and tell them a story." But then when I said that, she's like, "No." And then she would tell the truth. And that's the only way I could get her to tell the truth is before she would speak, say, "Let me guess. Now you're going to tell a lie, tell a story, tell them I'm a liar, and now everybody's going to pick on me, right?" And by saying that first, then she would tell the truth. But if I didn't say that first, a lot of times she would just come up with some bull. And so I've had to go through this and go through this, and I'm still waiting for help at 31. Now I can't walk. I've just lost my job. Well, I didn't lose my job, actually. They want me to back right away, and I want to go back right away. But I can't even make an egg on the ground. I'm not even kidding. I can't even eat or make it. And that's so dangerous. I normally have such a safe setup in the kitchen, but I can't do it from the chair and stand up to make my food. I haven't been eating in days. I can't walk. I have a freaking cane here. It's not good. 25 years of bullshit. Tired of it. Other people probably would have lost it already, but like I said, I have a 10 plus stamina and mental health. Thank God for that. Thank God I'm so strong mentally and mental health. Like people treat me like a psychotic person, but if I was even normal, I would have became a serial killer by now. Instead, I was somebody who was a good person who wanted to do good, that was strong mentally. That's why I was able to get to take from my mother, worry very little about it, was able to process it. I was even allowed, I spoke to her recently, about 10 years ago or yeah, about when I was 23 or so, I ended up meeting my mother again and having a talk with her. That's because I'm strong mentally and I have worse things. I even told her that. I was trying to get to tell my biological mother that I have mother issues, but not from her, from a crazy psychotic woman who wanted to drug me, who I gave love to over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And she kept on hurting me and hurting me and hurting me. No matter how many times I flipped and tried to give her love, then she would hurt me. Then I would flip and give her love. Now she's going to give me a whole bottle of that. Then I flip and now she's going to hurt me some more. Now she's whipping me with a ruler. Now she's smacking me around while I'm quiet in the back seat doing nothing. Now she's drunk and my father's telling her to shut the hell up. No matter how many times I try to give my mother love, that's my adopted mother, she just wanted to hurt me and cover up her mistakes. And that's really hard to love. Meanwhile, my biological mother, I'm trying to just start a relationship and tell her, I just started with, I have some abandonment issues from my family, from my adopted family. And I think she took it personally. I'm not quite sure how she took it. But that was a hard one. But I'm mentally strong and capable. I live with a 83-year-old who nobody else could mentally handle. I had a Raymond that nobody else, his own mother, couldn't mentally handle him. I'm not even kidding. This Raymond was 50 years old with the mental capacity of a 7-year-old. And his workers, oh my God, they couldn't mentally handle him, so they just kept on switching with him. And he kept on just, after that, he just wanted them switched. His mother wouldn't deal with it. She wasn't mentally capable. And the father, he's in jail and wanted to beat the crap out of him for it. And he has been beaten multiple times because people aren't mentally strong enough to handle his shit. But I'm able to say, Raymond, you gotta stop. You just got me hurt. Yes, I just almost broke my neck and now I'm bruised all over because you put olive oil in the tub again. You cannot put olive oil all over your body in the bathtub. No, you cannot do that. I just slipped and now I am screwed up. Now, thank God I have a shower chair and a shower pole for me. Thank God I had that. But we have an 83-year-old Raymond and me, and one of us is going to get killed, even with the chair in there. We cannot get out of the tub with you pouring olive oil all over yourself in there. And we just have that same conversation 100 times. Most people aren't mentally strong enough to have things like that happen 100 times and have to scrub the tub of oil because these people do these things over and over and over and over. Now the difference between me and these people is the only thing I do over and over is I drop things because my skin is numb. I fall down. I get hurt. I shake during winter. Sometimes I isolate near heat during winter. I won't come out in the cold for long periods of time. But these are for medical reasons, physical disabilities. I also have PTSD and anxiety, but I'm working on overcoming those. Now, the big one is when people are making up stories and lying about me. I get a lot of PTSD and anxiety. I also don't like it when people are so lazy that they get others hurt. That's a big one I'm trying to teach because I can't just watch people get hurt. I can't stand back and watch people get hurt. And that's something else I got to work on is when I see somebody about to get run over, it's not my job to get in the way and stop them from getting run over. But I do it anyways. And I think I still would. I think if I saw a woman just about to get run over, I still would push her out of the way. But the problem is that I put my own self in harm in those situations.